Shohei Ohtani in there for a called strike 3 to Carlos Santana.
10 strikeouts over 7 shutout innings for Yu Darvish.
Swinging a drive to deep right. It's a game winner for Jay Bruce. A towering home run to right center by Carlos Santana.
Lorenzo Cain says not tonight. Todd Frazier homers in the left field seats. Oh, in Todd we trust.
Away center field as Cozart done it again. He has. Cozart his second home run of the game. He's knocked in 5.
Breaking ball strike 3. Backdoor breaking ball beauty. 4 strikeout for Garcia.
Swung on and hammered down the left field line. Way back and gone. Home run number 2. Eduardo Nunez.
Hey everyone, welcome to 1225 Live. I'm Alexa Datt. We are 1 week away from live game action with a bunch of free agents still left on the board. Although some teams signed some guys in the last 24 hours, we will fill you in on the latest. Plus today on the show, we're going to head down to West Palm Beach. Brian McTaggart is going to fill us in on the Astros defending their title. What's the mood like down there in camp with Justin Verlander making some very interesting comments? We will fill you in on those. Plus, we're going to talk about the Cubs who are trying to win their second World Series title in 3 years. We're going to have Cubs reliever Rob Z join us in just a little bit, talking about the Yu Darvish acquisition and which team has the best pitching staff in the National League. All that and so much more today on the show. But we start the show the way we start every day with our girl, Danny Wex, our social savant. Hey, Danny, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Lex, did you see Shohei Ohtani in the beginning? And it said 156 kilometers. Did you see that?
I did not.
Okay, so that was the speed he was throwing, and I just quickly Googled 156 kilometers because I have no idea how fast that is.
Yeah.
It is, in fact, 95 miles per hour, Lex. That guy, he is going to be something else.
That's good to see.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I'm really excited to see this two-way player. First two-way player since Babe Ruth. Hopefully he can be as great as Babe Ruth. We'll see.
I can't wait.
All right, we got a couple of things we want to show you from spring training. First is a GIF that kind of surprised us. Danny, you found this.
Yes. I love this. We're going to show you that GIF in a second. First, Lex, I'm going to let you take this away.
Well, this is Big Sexy. This is our guy, right?
Yes.
And he's trying to become a member of that Rangers rotation, which would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
This is his 21st season in the majors if he's able to make this roster. His 11th team, the oldest player in the majors for the 3rd straight year. And listen, he is just as sexy as ever, right?
Texas needs more sexy, and they've got it, so use it, man. Now, here's the GIF that I found this morning. This is out of Orioles camp. Miguel Castro and Donnie Hart. So Miguel Castro sitting at a cool 6'7", and Donnie Hart just 5'10", so he's reaching up there. Their photog captured this moment, and I loved it. I think it's so fun.
A little bit more on the Orioles in just a minute because they added a pitcher that's going to help them get through this season. But speaking of Bartolo Colon, one of his former teams, one of his former 10, 11 teams that he's been on in the past, although he wasn't there for too long. But the Red Sox decided to go ahead and re-sign Eduardo Nunez, which was a big deal for them because Dustin Pedroia is dealing with that knee issue.
Right.
So we will see how this all plays out. Nunez also has some knee issues that he is dealing with. So it's going to be interesting to see. He's got to pass that physical first, and pending this physical, this deal will be done. Pedroia is out until May, and remember, Nunez came in after that July trade with the Giants, and he really was a spark plug for this team, had a great slash line, spent the offseason rehabbing, and hopefully he is ready to go. He is 30 years old, and he's going to be a guy that's going to be a utility infielder and hopefully help them out wherever they need it.
Yeah, that's good for you too, right? Hopefully make that long playoff run.
Yeah. All right, a couple other moves. We saw some more moves in the AL East. Man, the AL East was super busy.
Yeah.
Orioles inking Andrew Cashner, which was really interesting to a deal. And then the Blue Jays adding Jaime Garcia on a 1-year deal. Mets also announced this morning that they are adding Jason Vargas to their rotation. 2 years, $16 million. So they're trying to bolster the back end of that rotation. A lot of interesting moves being made, kind of maybe smaller moves here. But Eduardo Nunez, it was good to see him finally sign with the team.
Yeah, and back to Cashner really quickly. I know that the Orioles they needed him. They needed him because they have Kevin Gausman and Dylan Bundy headlining their rotation.
And then what?
Right. They had 3 spots to fill, so now they have 2 more spots, but that's huge. That's huge for them.
Yeah, it's nice to see, especially with Manny Machado. They think staying in Baltimore, at least for
Fingers
now.
crossed for them.
Until something happens. All right, this was an interesting picture, by the way. Speaking of some injury news we saw from Katie Strang of The Athletic, who tweeted this out. By the way, this is not for the faint of heart.
Right.
This is kind of a gross photo, so if you're easily squeamish, look away. His finger was apparently almost lost in a crossbow accident while he was hunting. Yeah, and he got a pin in that finger. By the way, this is his non-throwing hand. It's going to be reevaluated today to see if he can stick it back in his glove. But man, what a gruesome injury there. And hopefully, I'm glad they were able to save his finger, but hopefully it turns out all right.
I think that you can have fun in the off season, but maybe just stop playing with sharp objects and things like that. Just stay away from the fireworks and the bows and arrows and all those other things. Just have manageable fun.
Yeah, and the drones too, right?
The drones too. Sharp objects, guys. Come on now. Listen, our question of the day today, we're going back to our caption contest. I love this. So we have a photo for you guys. Obviously, Kenley Jansen, big man there in Dodgers camp, and he tweeted this out and he said, hanging out in the office, but we want you guys to caption this photo. What is going on in his mind right now? Is he thinking about a sandwich? Is he thinking about his plans after camp? And is he thinking about, you know, his next pitch that he's going to showcase? What is he thinking about? Caption this photo. Go to Facebook now. Let us know what you're thinking. We're going to read those at the end of the show.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Danny.
You're welcome.
Read Kenley Jansen's mind. That's pretty fun. All right, time for us to head down to West Palm Beach right now to check in on the Astros. Brian McTaggart, who covers the Astros for us here on MLB.com, joining the show. Brian, so nice to see you down there in the sunshine. I'm sure you are soaking in some of those rays. And we saw pitchers and catchers report this week. But honestly, the biggest headline out of Astros camp was a tweet by Justin Verlander when he was, answering Chris Russo saying that the Yankees were the team to beat in the AL. And Verlander said, nah, this World Series is going to come through Houston. What's the buzz been like around camp about these comments?
Yeah, well, it made a lot of news on the first day. I mean, Verlander walked in the clubhouse on Wednesday, and reporters went right around him and asked him his thoughts on exactly, what Russo said about the Yankees being the team to beat. And not surprisingly, the Astros think they're the team to beat. Of course, Verlander said that, we won the World Series last year, so we deserve that banner as the team to beat. And, yeah, the Yankees did add Stanton, the National League MVP, a big get for them. The Astros are going to have Verlander for the entire season. They added Garrett Cole, so they were 60-29 at the All-Star break last year, and they've added Garrett Cole and they added Verlander, two guys who started on opening day last year. So this is a confident team. They come back pretty much intact. I mean, all their key performers are back, which is really rare, and they've added a couple of bullpen pieces as well. So the Astros aren't short on confidence, just based on what they did last year and who they have coming back.
All right, based on a full season of Justin Verlander, I'm going to ask you for a way too early prediction, Brian. So here's the prediction. What is more likely to happen this season? That Jose Altuve repeats as AL MVP, or Justin Verlander wins his second Cy Young?
Wow, that's tough. If I had to pick one of those, I would say Verlander, because he pitched really well in the second half of last season. He was probably one of the top pitchers in the game the second half. He tinkered with his mechanics a little bit. And of course, when he came over to the Astros in the 5 starts that he stretched, he was dominant. He was unbeaten. So the thing about Altuve is I think he's going to have another great season. He's going to have another Altuve season. But Mike Trout doesn't get hurt and continues to produce the way he does. It would be hard for, I think, Mike Trout not to put up the kind of numbers that will have him in the MVP race. And look at Carlos Correa. I think this is another guy that if he doesn't get hurt, he missed 2 months last year with a thumb injury. I think he's in the MVP race as well. Would not surprise me to see Altuve win it, but I think a healthy Mike Trout, and now you have Stanton in the league, and you have Aaron Judge, who finished second. So the competition is going to be really, really tough to win that again.
Yeah, sorry, Brian. This is the time where we have to put you on the spot because it's spring training and everyone's hopes are really high. So that's why we got to get you with these questions pretty early. You mentioned Garrett Cole, one of the newest additions there. How's he fitting in, and what does the team see as his role this season?
He's fitting in great. He's got a locker right next to Verlander. Dallas Keuchel's just a few lockers to his right. So they want him to soak up those guys as much as possible, get as much knowledge. But he's one of the few guys in this clubhouse that hasn't won a ring. So he's thirsty to win that ring. And how are they going to use him? I mean, he's going to be one of their horses. They want him to go 200 innings. They want him to win a lot of games. The Astros really aren't big on slotting guys into, first starter, second starter, third. And with the depth of their rotation, it really doesn't matter. They just want these guys to make 32, 33 starts. But you look at their rotation, Keuchel, Verlander, a couple of guys who've won Cy Youngs. Garrett Cole still has that potential at 28 years old. Lance McCullers Jr., another guy with Cy Young potential. Charlie Morton, World Series hero last year. And Colin McHugh's in the mix as well. They have some tremendous starting pitching depth, and Cole's going to be in the middle of it.
Man, if I'm an opposing hitter, I'm looking at this rotation. I'm starting to sweat a little bit. It's making me a little nervous. They've got a lot of great arms there. It's pretty incredible. A lot of different weapons. Speaking of one of those weapons, Dallas Keuchel is going to join a much-anticipated free agent class at the end of this season. What's he saying about this potentially being his last season there with the only team he's ever played for?
Yeah, Dallas was asked about that the other day, and it was pretty frank. He said that he does not want contract negotiations to be in the regular season. In other words, he doesn't want that distraction for him or his teammates. So basically, the Astros have another 6 weeks or so before the start of the season to try to work out a contract extension with Keuchel. I'm not sure they will. I mean, there really haven't been any talks yet. And, I think Keuchel at this point is probably destined to hit the free agent market after this year. He's going to pitch all this year at 30 years old. If he can put together a healthy season, which he didn't do last year or the year before, he could be in range to make some big-time money. But he certainly sounds like a guy who possibly could be in his final year in Houston, and he's going to try to soak it up as much as he can.
All right, let's transition to the bullpen, which was a strength in the regular season for this Astros team, but obviously not in the postseason. In the offseason, they went ahead and added Joe Smith and Hector Rodon. How confident is this team in their bullpen for the entirety of 2018?
Well, if you're looking at one weakness for the Astros, it is the bullpen. Obviously, the rotation and the lineup are great. Now, the bullpen is not bad. I mean, it was a pretty good bullpen throughout the year. It wasn't as good as the Indians or the Yankees or the Red Sox and the other teams that, the Astros beat in the playoffs, beating the Yankees and Red Sox, two elite bullpens, and the Dodgers, another elite bullpen. But Joe Smith is going to be a huge addition to this team at the back end. Rondon was saving games for the Cubs just a couple of years ago. He's got championship experience as well. It's going to come down to Ken Giles sort of getting it ironed out a little bit. He had a really good regular season in the playoffs. We saw him melt down a couple of times, including in the World Series. Will Harris will be a key piece at the back end of the bullpen. Chris Davinsky, the all-star, the Dragon, who did a little bit of everything last year, is going to be back as well. So it's a bullpen that's versatile. They have a lot of weapons. And really one weakness they don't have is a lefty. They have a couple of guys in camp competing for a lefty spot, but they have a lot of solid options, I think, to get the back innings after the starters do their thing.
Brian, I'm looking at some of the fan questions that we have here, and Philip basically was asking what you think the Astros' biggest weakness is. So, Philip, there is your answer from Brian. Another interesting story, Brian, that we heard, and this was so cool when you were writing about this, Anthony Gose converting from an outfielder to a pitcher. He throws 100 miles an hour. What are the chances that he actually makes this staff?
Yeah, I think he's a long shot. I mean, I just said they have a couple of guys in camp, lefties in camp, and they're looking for a lefty, and Gose is a lefty. But yeah, he throws 100 miles an hour. He says he's got a sharp curveball as well. So, but, this is a team that won the World Series last year, and Anthony Gose is just getting back to pitching. He's very much a project and an experiment, if you will. He does throw hard. So they're going to take a look at him, but I really can't imagine a scenario where Gose makes this team.
All right, we got another fan question. This one is from John. How many wins do you think the Astros will have in 2018? Prediction time. Always prediction time right now, Brian.
Always. People love the predictions. Okay. Well, I see a lot of the prediction totals are in the high 90s. I see 96, 97 from some of the sites that do those sort of things. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine if this team is not healthy. They don't go past 100 wins. They won 101 last year. I could see them winning, 101 again, 102, 103. The division has got tougher, and that's one thing you have to consider. The Mariners have gotten tougher. The Angels, of course, with Ohtani and some of the other additions they made, Zach Cozart, they brought back Upton. They've gotten tougher as well. So the Astros won 50 games in the division last year. So half of their wins came in the division. I don't know that they're going to be able to run roughshod over the division like that. They're clearly the best team in the division, but I still think they're going to get a lot of wins. And I'll say they go up a tick, 102 wins. And that's a lot. I mean, they won 101 last year. They had to have a lot of things go right. They battled a lot of injuries. So I think 102, they would take that right now.
All right. Thanks, Brian. There's your answer, John. So the first time ever, really, this is going to be the Astros, and Justin Verlander said it best. They're going to have a target on their back all season long. Every team's going to come in and really, give this Astros team their best. How is this Astros team going to handle that, and what's their mentality going to be like in terms of kind of combating all of the hype that they're going to bring?
I think they'll handle it really well because of the manager. A.J. Hinch has a degree in psychology from Stanford, so this is right up his alley. And he's been very making a message here the early days in camp they're over 2017. I mean, they're pictures around the clubhouse and banners and so forth, but he wants these guys to put it behind them. And I mean, it's human nature. You get to the top of the mountain. Now what? We need to get there again. So, but I think AJ is going to do a great job of keeping them grounded and focused. They have the talent to do it. I don't think they're going to feel they're under any pressure. I mean, this is a young, energetic team. They're going to come to the ballpark every day, I think, with a pep in their step and wanting to play. So, I think they're going to embrace that. They're the only team that can repeat this year. So I think they're going to embrace it and try to go out there and do it. And I think they have a really good shot.
Brian, it's crazy. Everyone, all the fans are talking about this Astros team, and rightfully so. We got a fan question from Chris who says, where do you rank this lineup versus all of the lineups in the rest of the league? Do you think they're better than the Yankees?
Yeah, well, it's either them or the Yankees. I mean, when you have Judge and Stanton in the middle right there, that's pretty formidable. I do think the Astros are deeper 1 through 9. They got guys hitting 7th and 8th who could hit in the middle of some other teams' lineups. But I like the middle of the Astros lineup too. When you have Altuve and Springer hitting leadoff, and you have Correa hitting cleanup, Bregman or Reddick hitting in the number 2 spot, Yuli Gurriel maybe hitting 5th. So they have a lot of depth 1 through 9. I think that's what sets them apart a little bit from the Yankees. The Yankees probably going to hit more home runs, more firepower, but the Astros also hit a lot of home runs, don't strike out very much either. And I think that's what makes their lineup also one of the best in the big leagues. I think the best in the big leagues.
All right, Brian, I lied. One more fan question. People are they're all going. They all want to talk about the Astros. Raymond says, is Forrest Whiteley going to make the club sometime this year? One of their top prospects.
You know, I don't see it. Just for what we talked about earlier, their starting pitching depth is so deep that, if Whitley's up here, I almost have to think that something went wrong. I mean, he's only 20 years old. He's not in big league camp, so he'll be in minor league camp, and I think he'll start the year in the rotation at AA. He'll be in AAA at some point, which, of course, puts him right on the doorstep. And I know Jeff Luhnow, the general manager, has been bullish on him, and he said a couple of times he could help the Astros this year. I think I still have a hard time buying that is when you consider their starting pitching depth. Maybe he comes up in September, gets a taste of it. But I think in 2019, Forrest Whitley, at 21 years old, is in the middle of that rotation for sure.
All right, Brian, all the info and all the predictions. Really appreciate it. Enjoy that sunshine down there in West Palm. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Alexa.
Thank you. All right, it's time for a Full Count Friday, where we name 5 awesome things that we saw this week, Danny. And our Full Count Friday today has to do with a bunch of big leaguers who have come into camp with full-on transformations, which has been pretty cool to witness because we're used to seeing them one way, and now they are completely different. So let's go ahead and start off with some of the Mets pitchers, specifically Jacob deGrom, who cut off his flow. Now, we know that Noah Syndergaard is keeping his flow, so no concerns there. But, a lot of people were worried that maybe Noah Syndergaard was going to chop off his locks after Jacob deGrom got rid of his. But here's Jacob deGrom with short hair, and he's going to cut it again, apparently, right before the season. So we'll see.
I heard that if you lose your flow, you lose your velocity. Is that true?
I don't know. He looks pretty happy, though. In fact, he looks happier with short hair than he does with his long flow.
His face looks fuller, too.
It does look...
Well, interesting, right?
Yeah, it looks like he can get a little bit more sunshine. Maybe the sun can reach his face better. His hair is not blocking those rays.
Oh, man. All right, next up, John Gant, Cardinals pitcher.
Whoa.
This is a good one. So you can see here, the flow was real, and a little bit of more of a beard as well. And now he's got a pretty short haircut, spiky, and clean shaven.
Check out those spikes. And this guy looks 10 years younger. That's incredible. He looks like Zach Morris in high school or something. It's pretty wild.
He does look like Zach Morris.
Yeah. And the beard looks a little bit more clean and better kept, right?
Yeah. It probably doesn't take as long for him to wash his hair either.
All right. How about Eugenio Suarez, who, all right. Man, he just went ahead and decided to change the color altogether. So the beard is darker and the hair is white.
It's a good juxtaposition here going on, right?
So he kind of went from younger to older looking a little bit with the white hair, I think.
Do you think it was on purpose?
And a fuller beard. I mean, it looks good.
Yeah.
He doesn't look old. He just looks older because he has baby face really there on the left.
He does, yeah. Maybe he wanted to be more mature. This is a mature look.
It is a mature look.
Yeah. I dyed my hair blonde to look more mature as well, so I get it.
Blondes have more fun, though. Come on, let's be honest.
Let's be honest.
That's why we're doing it.
Anthony Rendon, one of your faves. Check this out. It's not too crazy. He doesn't have too much flow, and now he's just lighting it up. Maybe he'll swing better, right?
Yeah, and the funny thing is that people were like, does this mean that Bryce Harper is cutting his hair? And the guys are like, calm down. I just decided to take some scissors to my hair. That doesn't mean the rest of the team is all of a sudden going to go bald. So everyone
relax.
chill out. But yeah, I do kind of like this new look for him, and I feel like he's always been an under-the-radar type MVP, and maybe losing some of those locks can bring him into the spotlight.
I like it. Whatever works.
Yeah, and this is the kicker. This is my favorite one. We showed you yesterday on the show. Oh my gosh! All of these razors, these buzz cuts were being taken to Lindor's hair, and we were like, what is going to happen? What's he going to look like? Looks a little bit more like his pops now, huh?
He does, and I feel like maybe he did this on purpose. He wants to kind of pay tribute to his great dad, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna miss the curly blonde locks.
I like it. A lot of these guys dyeing their hair blonde last year was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And I wasn't 100% into it, but I do kind of like the dramatic 180 transformation right to white. It's like we skip the blonde or skip the highlights or skip like bleaching our tips. We just are full out aging ourselves like 25 to 30 years and coming out here as mature young men. So I like that.
Okay, I feel like my thing is, so it's silver, right? So maybe he should have dyed it gold because, he wants to be a gold glover. Like, trophies are gold. They're not silver. That's what I'm thinking in my
Well, maybe Silver Slugger.
Okay,
Maybe
fine.
that's what he's looking for.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
Silver
gonna miss
Fox,
the locks.
Silver Slugger. I mean, there are a bunch of different ways we could go with this.
I'm gonna miss the curly locks.
I love it.
We're used to it.
Yeah, I know. All right, so this is an interesting story, by the way. Todd Frazier, we've seen spend a bunch of time with his kids recently. We saw them, where were they, at Disneyland, Disney World?
Yes.
Having a good time. The kids were screaming and having fun. And, at the start of spring training, it's always difficult because a lot of these players who have kids have to say goodbye to them. Well, this was kind of an interesting situation for his kids when he had to say goodbye. Oh, poor Todd Frazier. He's not going that far, but... Look at him.
He's like, I'm just outside the car. It's okay, kids. It's okay. And then they get more riled up and more sad. And now I'm getting sad.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think they'll be reunited soon?
Yes, I think so.
I hope so.
I hope so. It's so cruel to video them.
So cruel, but for our purposes, we are grateful for that.
Just kidding. I video all crying kids. Basically, because a lot of the times if they see themselves, especially like in a FaceTime, they see themselves crying.
They'll stop crying.
They'll stop crying.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they keep telling yourself you're doing a nice thing to the kids. I'll let you think that.
By the way, he arrived at Port St. Lucie today, and obviously it's a completely new clubhouse, and he's meeting all these new people, and he basically was like, listen, I'm not that good at names, so I'm just going to call everyone Big Dog right now.
Big Dog.
Once I learn your name, then that's what I'll call you.
Maybe I'll tell you. Maybe I'll call you by your
it.
name. Yeah, I'm always in favor of hey dude or hey, oh hey you, how are you? That's my favorite thing to do when I don't remember someone's name.
What's going on, buddy? I love that.
Hey bud.
And then my brother-in-law named his dog Buddy, and then I was like, I can't use that anymore.
We can't do that anymore. No. Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Todd Frazier, good luck.
I like hey you though.
Hey you. It's not very nice.
So personal.
Yeah.
All right, question of the day.
Yes. Okay. So we have this incredible photo. Kenley Jansen hanging out. We don't know what he's doing or what he's thinking, so we asked you guys on Facebook, please caption this photo. So listen, we have some submissions. We're asking for some more submissions from you. Whatever you think that he's thinking. Lex, do you want to take a crack at what you think he's thinking?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's always about... Oh, yeah, we're just going to go with some submissions. Who cares what I think? From Raymond, if Ohtani can do it, so can I. Yes, let's go.
I love that.
Step up there, take that bat, and take some swings.
How many at-bats has Kenley Jansen had in his career?
Good question.
That he got a hit. How many hits? Let me take that back. How many hits has Kenley Jansen got?
Well, we'll have to
one.
look that up.
I think he has maybe one or two.
We'll have to look that up.
We're going to look that up.
Okay. I think my work here is done. Hashtag no off season.
I think
my work here is never done.
That's
Hashtag
right.
no off season.
He still has some more work to do.
Yeah, like picking up that hose and watering the grass.
Or picking up that bat and taking some swings.
Yeah.
Getting ready. Got one more?
This one's from Matthew. All by myself. What do you think, Danny?
One more time?
Well,
don't want to be
all by myself
anymore.
I don't know the rest of the song. That's the only part
That's
of it.
why we don't sing. That's the rest of the song. That's the whole song the whole time.
Yeah.
Those are the words.
Just loop that.
Kenley. So listen, submit what you think Kenley is thinking about. We're going to read these at the end of the show. Please send in some creative ones.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
And if you want to make us sing, go ahead. That's totally fine because I do such a good job of it and everyone loves it. Here, nobody's holding their ears. It's totally fine. All right, time for us to welcome in a very special guest. Rob Z is joining us, Cubs reliever, to talk a little bit about what's going on this season. What's going on, Rob? How you feeling?
I feel great. I'm excited to be out here. The weather's not too sunny yet, but once it gets sunny again, then I'll be in a better mood for sure.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, your sunny disposition will come out with the sun. Ching. Yeah, that's how that works. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Valentine's Day that was this week, and you proposed recently to your now fiance. We were seeing some of the posts on Instagram and stuff. Was she surprised? How did you plan it? How did this all go down?
She was definitely surprised. It was our 3-year anniversary, and I got dressed up for the occasion. I got the suit. It's really nice. And yeah, so we got dressed up and we went out, and she had no idea. So we had a pretty day because I spent so long planning this, and she was happy, and I hope she's still happy with her decision to say yes.
The best part of her post was basically like, now we get to spend the rest of our lives trying to tell people how to pronounce our last name, which that's kind of what we were all talking about this morning. What's the weirdest way someone's ever pronounced your last name?
The weirdest way is actually, it's a good. I told anybody this, but I was playing in high school baseball, and it was my first at bat, and the guy said like Zastruzny, and I think a parent went up to correct them, and then my second at bat he said a different one, and another parent went up. So as I went up to the plate for my third at bat, he said, "Now batting Rob Smith," and he just called it that right there.
They're like, this is much easier and much more common, so we'll just go with this. That's fine.
Definitely.
Yeah, loosens you up a little bit for that at-bat, sure, I'm sure. You also have a dog that you post a lot about on Instagram. We're very dog-friendly here on the show. This dog is particularly freaking adorable, though. Who is this?
That's Ray. So we have an older one that's half Australian Shepherd, half Husky, and that's Finley. And then she's the young one, and she's a full Aussie, and she's the best. She just has so much energy, runs around, chases us around all day, and she's a little ball of fun.
Amazing. Yeah, we're super dog friendly. We've had puppies on the show here, so we always talk to everyone about their dogs, and people love sharing all kinds of crazy stories. Let's talk a little baseball. In 2016, you transitioned to the majors, stepped into a big role with the Cubs there on their run to the World Series. What's one memory during that run that really stands out to you?
I think just being part of the team. I remember I walked in, and I had never been in big league camp, or I had never like really talked to any of the guys. And my very first day in Colorado on August 19th, I walked in the locker room, and all the guys were like, "Hey, Rob's here. Like, good to see you, Rob. Like, nice to have you," and everything. And I was like, "Man, like these guys have no idea who I am, but they're so nice to me." So I really enjoyed that. And then obviously the World Series was fantastic. Don't really remember much of that. I was kind of more focused on the game, and I don't really remember much of what was going on. And then the parade, I think, was the time where it all kind of set in that it was the greatest year of my life personally, and I hope everybody else's. So I think the parade, the World Series, and then my very first day in the big leagues are my top three.
Well, let me ask you this, because before the World Series, you were added to the NLCS roster. When you got that news, who was the first person you called, and who did you share that information with?
I was actually sitting in the apartment with my now fiance, and she was like, "Who just called you?" And I said, "That was Lester Strode and Chris Bosio," and they just told me I'm on the roster. And I don't know if she really fully grasped what had happened, because I didn't. They told me, and I was like, okay, like I got to go play baseball tomorrow. And then we kind of just sat there. And we're like, "You're on the playoff roster for the 2016 Chicago Cubs," and it all kind of set in there. And it was just a really good night. And then obviously I called my parents, and they were freaking out. And it was awesome to be a part of it. And it was really cool sitting in the bullpen and everything. And then when we won, running out onto the field and celebrating, and we were all going to the World Series. So it was fantastic. What
are some of the mental images you have in your mind running out onto the field when you guys won?
One was Hamill stumbled and almost fell, and I had to jump over top of him almost. And then I threw my hat, and I have no idea why. So if you look at all the pictures, everyone else has got their Cubs hat on, and I have no hat on because my hat flew into the stand. I don't know, like I just blacked out for a second and launched it. But yeah, if you can look in the video or anything, I have no hat on, and everybody else does. And then there was a big hug. I think it was Addison and Javi had a big hug right behind me, and I was like, wow, this is unbelievable.
Pretty incredible. Yeah, it's kind of easy to pick yourself out of the group, though, without the hat on. So maybe you Yeah, subconsciously.
That's probably why I did it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's spin it forward to this year. I know last year you didn't quite have the year that you would have liked, but if you spin it forward to this year, what are some of your goals? What are you looking to achieve?
This year I want to be more versatile. I want to be able to throw out of the pen. I want to throw as a starter again. I want to do a little better job than I did last year. And back, so I feel strong on the mound. And then I actually lived in Scottsdale this offseason and trained at the facility here, so I feel a lot stronger. And I'm really looking forward to 2018.
Yeah, and I'm sure the rest of the team is too, specifically with some of the additions that they made this offseason. When you heard that Yu Darvish was joining the squad, what'd you think?
I think we're all excited. I mean, we watched him pitch last year, obviously, and I've seen him throw for a while now, and he's a very good pitcher, and I think I can learn a lot from him. And anytime you add a player of that caliber, you get kind of excited. Like, we want to make a long postseason run. Our goal is to win a World Series again, and I think he'll do a really good job in helping us do that.
You got a handful of games versus the Nationals and the Dodgers this season, so I want to kind of put you on the spot here. Where do you think this pitching staff ranks in the National League?
And I'm completely biased here, but I mean, we have an unbelievable pitching staff. As good or better than any starting five out there. And it's just a bunch of guys that I get to watch every day work so hard on their craft and, share information with each other. And I think they're just going to keep getting better as the years goes on because they're good people and good athletes. And I look forward to watching them play and hopefully being a part of it.
Yeah, it'll be pretty exciting. The fact that this team is looking for their second World Series in 3 years. When you look around the league, though, just as a fan, what are you kind of thinking about when you look at what Houston did this offseason, what the Yankees did this offseason? It was just kind of a wow factor for a lot of us. So I'm just curious, from a ball player's perspective, when you see that Giancarlo Stanton, is added to the Bronx lineup, or that Garrett Cole is now going to a really formidable rotation there in Houston, what were your thoughts?
It kind of makes me excited for, I think a lot of the good teams are just getting better, and I think that it's gonna make for really good playoffs. And seeing the other teams build up their batting lineup or rotation, and then seeing us do the same thing, it just really does excite me for the end of the year, and it excites me for this baseball season because there's going to be a lot of talented teams in that.
Yeah, and it's going to be really fun to watch. I'm glad we're all on the same page because that's how the fans feel, so it's always nice when we hear the players feel the exact same way. All right, I've been holding your buddy Danny hostage here, but she's going to join us now for some team superlatives. So we're going to give out some awards for some of the players on your squad. So we're going to start off with most likely to be a DJ. Rob, who's the most likely to be a DJ on your team?
I think Rizzo. I think that whenever we need a pick-me-up or anything, he always takes the aux cord and plays something and gets everybody going. And every now and then it'll be like a dubstep song and everyone will get fired up, and then he'll throw it back to like 2000s Backstreet Boys. So if anyone was going to do it, it'd probably be him.
Nice. All right, Rob, how about most likely to own a restaurant? Who's a foodie?
Ooh. I think that'd have to be Albert Elmore, and not because I think he can cook, although I did eat Christmas with him, and it was unbelievable food. So I think it would be him just because he enjoys food so much, and there's that he doesn't like. So if he was going to follow a passion, it would definitely be opening a restaurant.
All right, sounds good. How about who's most likely to rule the world?
Besides myself, probably Ben Zobrist. I think Ben Zobrist would be the guy because I think he could get anybody to follow him. He's such a nice guy, and he means well with everything he says, and he's a very intelligent guy. So I think if I had to be under anybody or have anyone rule the world over me, it would be Ben Zobrist.
All right, Rob, next one, best flow. Who you got?
Man, if we're talking about like hair flow, or are we talking about like swag, like best dressed and stuff like that?
Let's do hair and then best dressed.
Ooh, hair is Chris because I cut my hair just like Chris did because I want to be like him. And if we did dressed, it'd probably be Javi because he just has something new every day for everybody to see, and he just looks so good doing it,
Yeah, that guy steps in the clubhouse like he's walking the red carpet. It's pretty impressive. Who's got the best spring training whip? Who drives around in the nicest car?
Ooh, I'm actually looking at the parking lot right now, so I'll figure that out. Chatwood and Hayward have G-Wagons, and I love those, so I'm biased towards those. So one of those two, probably, they're awesome, and I'm hoping that they'll let me test drive it around the parking lot here soon.
All right, next one, Rob. How about least likely to share a bite of food?
That would have to be Albert again. That guy, he loves his food. I remember in AAA, small story here, he gets called up to the big leagues. He comes back down a month later, and we're like, dude, what were the big leagues like? How was everything? He's like, dude, the food, awesome. And so I think it would have to be him.
That's all he's thinking about, right? All right, last one for you, Rob, here. Who's most likely to still have an AOL account? Who's kind of still stuck in the dinosaur, the old ages, and doesn't really know technology that well?
I'd have to say probably John Lester, only because I never see him on his phone or anything. You know, I've never seen him like, here's my iPad or here's video of me on my iPad. I would have to say him, but he might be like very technologically savvy. I've never seen him with it.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Probably has all kinds of stuff going on that you don't know about. The fact that it's not out there in public leads you to believe that. All right, thanks, Danny. Appreciate you helping us out for that. So we got one fan question for you, Rob. Tim said, how big of a change has it been getting used to a new pitching coach there in Chicago?
You know, you would think it'd be a big change, and then he came in, he called all of us, and we all had a really good conversation with him. And then at Cubs convention, we talked to him. He's just a really good guy to get along with, like really nice guy, down to earth. So from a pitching standpoint, he's only seen us throw for about a week, so I think he's going to give it a little more time, and he's going to see what everyone's working with and then start making corrections. But I thought Bosio was great, and I'm really looking forward to working with Hit.
All right, sounds good. Hey, Rob, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck this season, and appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, and I always love talking about my teammates.
Yeah, you do a great job, especially supporting those guys. All right, we'll talk soon. All right, Danny, man, what a fun guy, and awesome that you were able to make that connection for us here on the show. It was so cool and so interesting to hear him just kind of talk about these guys so openly and freely, because we don't always hear guys do that around the league.
No, he's great. So we went to the University of Missouri together. He pitched there, and then he went and got drafted, and he's a really great person, and he always speaks so highly. It doesn't matter what you're talking to him about. He always is giving credit to other people, and just a really good person. So I hope that he has the most success this season, and hopefully he can do really great things. Yeah,
thanks to Rob for joining us.
Yeah.
All right, unfortunately, we want to mention this story where tragedy really struck close to home for one of Rob's teammates, Anthony Rizzo, who went back home to Florida and spoke at a vigil for that awful shooting at the high school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, and it was just so awful to hear about all of the different stories and the families looking for their kids. And Anthony Rizzo, obviously, who has been through so much in his life, went to go speak at the vigil. Take a listen.
I am only who I am because of this community. And I just want all of you to know how proud I am to be part of this community. I want you to know that you're not alone in your grief. We're all grieving with you. The entire country is grieving with you. So whatever comfort I can give, I will give. Whatever support I can offer to our students, teachers, coaches, and families, and first responders, you'll have it. I went to Stoneman Douglas. I grew up in Stoneman Douglas. I played on those fields. I went to those classes. I studied in those classrooms. The same school we saw in videos yesterday for all of the wrong reasons. And I promise you, we're going to be mourning, grieving, and a bit broken for a while.
Whew. Yeah. Absolutely heartbreaking. The stories and images coming out of Florida there. And Anthony Rizzo, obviously a guy who has been a pillar in so many different communities, is the guy who, if anyone can, uplift a community, it's him. But
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Devastating to hear. And, his words kind of, they strike you.
Yeah.
For sure.
And he kind of just reminds us that there's nothing more important in life than family, and he left camp. Like, obviously, there's nothing more important than being there for that community and being a light for them. Baseball can wait, everything else can wait, but being there. So he is the perfect person to have a shoulder to cry on and to be there for that community.
Yeah, absolutely. Our thoughts and prayers are sent out to everyone there in the Parkland community and everyone who has been affected. All right, Danny, our question of the day, we are captioning this pretty fun photo of Kenley Jansen, who has decided to jump on Instagram kind of recently, right?
Yes, he is now an Instagram star. This guy loves it. He's sharing stories and an insight to his life, which is really, really cool. So we asked you guys to caption this photo. We're going to pick our favorite at the end. So this is Kenley, obviously at spring training. Number 1 up, this is from Raymond. He said, if Ohtani can do it, so can I.
Looking at that bat.
Getting some ideas,
Yeah,
Kenley?
let's go.
All right, Nachi. I think my work here is done. # no off season. But you said, Lex.
Well, I would just kind of flip it and be like, my work here is never done.
Yeah.
# no off season. But Nachi, I'm going to let you live.
We'll go with it. Matthew. All by myself. Don't want to be all by myself anymore. Next, John. Love this one. Hitters have a better chance hitting against me with that hose.
Oh, nicely done. All right, bring the garden hose into it.
Yeah.
What did he ever do to you?
Yeah.
Psych, I love it. All right.
Okay, Brooks. I'm going to have In-N-Out for dinner.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes, love this one. All right, last one, Lawrence. I wish I had that pitch back in the World Series.
Oh, man.
Lawrence, twist it. Ugh, it hurts me. But maybe. I don't think he's thinking about that anymore. I think he's moving forward.
Yeah.
So, you like the In-N-Out one?
I like the In-N-Out one.
Brooks?
I like the singing only because, Danny, you joined me for that lovely duet.
Yes.
But I think In-N-Out is the winner.
Our friend Brooks. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
you guys
Brooks.
did a great job submitting these on Facebook, so thank you so much for this. This is a thing I think we're going to do more often because it's so fun.
Yeah, and everyone helps out, so it's always great.
Yes.
All right, Danny, awesome week. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yes, I'll see you next week. I'm going to be in Florida,
Yes.
but I'm going to see you.
Yeah, you're also, you're going to be part of the show.
I'm going to be there.
I'm down in the Sunshine State, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Okay.
Thanks, Lex.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us here so much on 1225 Live. This has been an awesome week, and we're going to continue it all next week. We're going to take a little bit of a break on Monday, but we'll have tons of stuff on the show for you to recap some stuff that we've done this year that has been a lot of fun here on the show. We'll be back live on Tuesday. And again, Danny's going to join us with tons of coverage from Florida, so stay tuned for all of that. Plus, where are all these free agents going to sign? We'll have the latest with some really cool reporters on next week. Make sure you join us for that. And have a fantastic weekend, everyone. See you Tuesday.